Knowledge is power. Make an impact by learning more. Call us right now for more help at 866-945-8070. Fresh recording. Going to go live on Facebook, and then we're going to bring people into the panel. On a page. Nerd Enterprises. Next. Okay, I'm going to hit the go live button. Everybody who's in the attendee mode, I'm bringing you in as panelists. So if you don't want your camera on, just turn it off or chat to me and I'll turn it off for you. And I'm going to shut off that enter exit chime. Okay, I believe the Facebook feed is live. Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. It's May 25th, 2018. Holy cow, we're almost halfway through the year, and it seems like it just started a minute ago. Good morning. Welcome, Nick Smith. Thank you for joining us this morning from FUTRLI.
You're very welcome. Great to be here.
And we're going to start getting into that and talking about that in a few minutes. But first, let's thank our sponsors, Nerd Enterprises. The one and the only sponsor. I was going to joke. Today's show is sponsored by the letter N and the number 97, right? Because 97 and up. That's my, Nick, you may not know this. The 97 and up is my program for accountants and bookkeepers who want to learn from me how to build, grow, and scale their practice. And Sarah's a gold member.
Oh, okay, cool. Nice.
Yes.
So, exciting news. I was just telling Nick before we went live, I upgraded my internet speed yesterday from 24 megabits per second, which was crappy. Most people around the country seem to have like around 60 with their cable providers, to 1,000 megabits per second. You would not believe the jump in speed. Immediately I could see the difference. Just pages loading, like before I can blink. When I go onto a page, there's no delay whatsoever. It's like as quickly as I can open up a tab from a bookmark, the page is there and it's live. Unbelievable. And as someone who uploads a lot of videos to the web, this is going to make a huge difference in my productivity. So,
how much more are you paying?
Only $10 more a month. Normally it would have been 20 more, but I got a special. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and this is more and more available now. I was aware that it was coming because they came to my house to install the new fiber cables, whatever they're called. I don't know. That part of it's above my pay grade. But I knew they were installing something fiber-like to make it faster. And the past week, we were having some challenges with the internet speed here. So I just called them. I didn't know that it happened to have literally just come available. Because it takes a while, even though they've installed the cables and whatnot, it still takes a while for it to be available in your area. And the guy said to me that I called just at the right time because now they're sending out notifications to let people know this is available, and they're going to get booked solid. So check in your area and see if it's available, because for $20 more a month, totally worth it. And like I said, they gave me a deal for, so it's only $10 more a month for the first year. Then it's going to go up by another 10, or maybe by then
Who's the provider?
In my case, AT&T, but I think it's one of these things that everybody's doing it, Dennis. Everybody's doing it, so you have to do it to keep up with the cool kids.
Did you have to get a new modem?
What's that? Yeah.
I assume you got a new modem.
Yeah, you need a new modem, and all these things you have to, again, just check with your provider, make sure you understand how they do it, because in some cases you're just leasing the modem, in other cases you've paid for it, it's kind of included in the price. So like when they were here installing this, they left me with my old modem because the guy was like, I don't know if you're going to need to send this back if it's just been leased, they're going to ask you to send it back. He's like, otherwise you can throw it away or mount it on the wall or something.
Paperweight.
You know, but still, it's just,
Memorabilia.
what's that?
Memorabilia.
Exactly. That would be
Might be
funny.
work.
Yeah.
I remember when I first moved into my home, and this was, God, like 10 years ago, I think, maybe a little more. And we had Earthlink as our service provider. Do you remember Earthlink? It was kind of like, it was trying to be the next AOL while AOL was still something. And
Yeah.
I remember that modem, and I remember constantly the internet going down and calling and yelling at their customer service people. It was so bad, but it would be interesting to have like the evolution of the modems like hanging on a wall somewhere, like my little shrine to, you know, what do you call it? Like the ghosts of internet past.
Might be worth something 50 years from now.
It could be. Well, remember those original modems that you used to have when you dialed up with AOL and that obnoxious dial-up sound?
Yeah.
I miss that now. So anyway, that's what's going on with me. That's how my week has been. Upgrade to the internet. And yeah, so looking at a major boost in productivity, rolling out some Excel courses. I've been rolling out my accounting for e-commerce course. And I didn't realize, I looked at this week, I didn't realize I actually have a bunch of lessons already published. And that stuff, by the way, is available on the $25 monthly subscription for anybody who's interested. And of course, everybody in 97 and up gets everything below that. So sign up, join me. Sarah and I have a lot of fun each week with our other friends who join us each week, twice a week on our live calls, and we talk about all kinds of things. What did we talk about this week, Sarah? We had an interesting conversation. Oh, yesterday, right as I was about to start our call, I'd gotten an email from a client who I just started doing work with. We had literally had our first meeting. And so I let the group be a fly on the wall while I talked to the guy. And I was, not that I was pitching him per se, but based on his email, I knew the call was going to be geared towards what other services you offer. Case in point, I was saying earlier, a lot of my training clients will often come right back to me and say, what can we, you know, can we just hire you, and how does that work? And so I let them listen to me. They can sort of learn from the, I don't know, I hate to use the word, but the salesmanship part of it, you know, like how I talk to clients. And the real point of it is that I'm not trying to sell them. I'm really just talking to them. And, you know, they seem to get a kick out of seeing and hearing me do that. Right, Sarah? Oh, Sarah's moving. She's mobile. All right, we'll come back to Sarah in just a minute. Wait. Is she back? Are you there? No. All right. I was going to ask her to give us her perspective on what it was like to watch me pitch a client. Wait, now she's back.
Oh, am I frozen?
There you are.
Hi.
All right. So give us a third-party perspective. What was it like watching me and listening to me on the phone with a client?
Genius moment. No. It was wonderful to kind of hear how, like you said, how real you are. It's just a conversation. You're not selling anything. You're just you're learning about them as you're asking the questions, but also kind of giving little hints along the way of things that you could do to make better and kind of improvements. And
Right.
then in price gets in there at you know, at different moments, and how to kind of afterwards what we talked about was how to possibly have opportunity to increase the price or add-ons as well. So
Right.
that's nice.
Yeah, and that was exactly, I think, the point that I was hoping would get across, especially when it came to price, because the guy had looked on my website. He said, I see you have services. It looks like it starts at $500 a month, and here's what I think we need to do. And I responded to that by saying, I think that kind of puts you in my $1,500 monthly price range. And he sort of balked at that. And so, but I, you know, at that point I let it go. We continued the conversation, and later on I just threw out the suggestion, and I said, well, perhaps we can figure out, you know, something in between the $500 and the $1,500 a month, you know, based on what you actually need and what we can do for you and that kind of thing. So without actually saying the number, I planted the seed of $1,000 a month in his mind, so that when the time comes to talk about it, and he was, you know, his reaction to that was one of, you know, agreement. So that I'm pretty sure when it comes down to it, if I suggest $1,000 a month, he won't even blink. He'll just say, yeah, sure, let's go ahead and get started. So that was kind of the point of it. Anyway, let's get on with the subject at hand for the day. We've got my friend Nick Smith here from across the pond, and he's going to show us what FUTRLI is all about. So I'm going to turn over to you, Nick. Tell us a little bit about yourself, a little bit about FUTRLI, where you started, why you started, when you started, and what you guys are planning to do to take over the world.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it sounds exciting. Yeah. No. I mean, yeah. From our perspective, obviously, thanks very much, Seth, for inviting me on the show today. It's great to talk to everybody and introduce FUTRLI to you. We're obviously a sort of an advisory platform, so we very much try and engage with exactly what it is you're. I think you guys proactively are looking at. I've just written down a few kind of, buzzwords just that have evolved from what Seth was talking about there. It's that engagement with the client. It's that reason to have the conversations. It's, putting yourself there to strengthen the relationship and actually to present value within those fees. So you talked about, Sarah there was talking about add-ons, and actually that's very much where we sit in terms of our platform and our product. So yeah, I mean, if we're okay, I mean, how do I take the screen for my?
Just move your mouse over and look near the bottom.
Share screen. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, perfect. So, so what I was kind of hoping to do really was just, show you guys, if I can bring it up now, if we can see that okay. Yeah, Seth?
Yes, we can see Introduction to FUTRLI.
Perfect. Yeah. So FUTRLI, as I say, we are, obviously that's me. I'm a strategic advisor. We're based here in the UK, just south of London in Brighton. I don't know if anybody's familiar with that. What I was kind of hoping to cover was how we approach the accounting, the bookkeeping and the advisory kind of world, and what it is we bring to the market in the way of adding value to the client base, whether it's picking up a new client, justifying the services, or if it's actually extending that relationship with existing clients and growing that service and that service offering. So as we kind of roll through, obviously, as Seth was talking about upgrades in Wi-Fi, and we're definitely living in the times of disruptive technology. So changing the sort of market, and there has been trends with QuickBooks Online, with Xero, and various other platforms. We're seeing it come into the accountancy and the bookkeeping world, and the world of accountancy is changing too. So clients want to be connected to their financial data to more detail and easier than it has been in the past, and these these platforms are allowing that, and the way in which we can link into them. So they want clear, proactive advice that empowers them to make good decisions, good business decisions, importantly. So FUTRLI is we've looked at the market. We've looked at we've looked at Xero. We've looked at QuickBooks Online. We've looked at other sort of packages, and it's now, from our point of view, it's how can we clearly offer valuable insights into the client's business and actually position bookkeepers, accountants, and advisors with the tools so that they can offer very, very meaningful strategic advice with the clients. So some of our accountancy partners here, you see we've got BDO, Deloitte, some sort of big high tier firms, but actually our product as well is used by very much small practices up to national and global brands, purely because it's very, very scalable in the way that it works. FUTRLI, as a sort of starting point, we do cash flow forecasting, we're KPI dashboards, we're PDF reporting, we're automated alerts, we're budgeting, business planning, scenario modeling, consolidation of groups as well. And sort of where we started, obviously, was cash flow forecasting, and it's very much evolved from there into an integrated platform. So that you think of your traditional accounting platform now, and then think of FUTRLI as the kind of next step on. So the data is there, but how can we fully integrate that into our reporting procedures, our client monitoring, and of course, showing where the business has been, where they are now, and where they're sort of heading. So, of course, all-in-one forecasting reporting platform. More than just software, it's a kind of an ecosystem that drives advisory services from us. It's not just about providing a very smart piece of technology. It's actually about the whole industry and how we can partner with people in terms of increasing the services, adding value to the clients, and of course generating a bit more revenue for practices. So I'm going to kind of kick back now into a very quick product demonstration. If anyone's got any questions, obviously do ping up, and I'll be happy to kind of go over something else again. in a bit more detail. Of course, we can cover that at the end. But sort of FUTRLI to start with, this is just a very quick high-level tour. So I'm going to show you the journey of how you maybe would link a client, and how the data can then be used to monitor KPIs, to set alerts against the business, to build a report, or to build a scenario, budget, or forecast for your client. So what I've got here is just a very, very quick and an example dashboard for a client. So this might monitor sort of any KPI within the business for a client. So here we can see we're looking at their expenditure, their sales by account. And as I scroll down, we've got comparisons between sort of best v worst. Average spend per head might be an F&B client. And as we scroll down, we've got a P&L, a balance sheet, and it's kind of streamlining it and automating a lot of this for you guys. So as the client base grows, we're hoping to sort of scale services and make it very visual and very engaging, because business owners, they respond much better to that than just seeing numbers on a spreadsheet. So from our perspective, trying to visualize everything is sort of key to what we do. These dashboards, they really start as a blank canvas, and these here are called cards. You can add these fully bespoke to what it is that the business wants to monitor. So of course we recognize that your businesses are fully unique, and so are the clients. So it's very much a case of what does this business need to monitor? What are they doing well? What are they perhaps not doing so well at? And how can we drill into that information to tell us a story about actually what's happening and how we improve that going forward? So lots and lots of dashboards you can create within FUTRLI for a variety of different industries. We have, for any partners, we have lots and lots of examples of the types of KPIs to monitor. But I'm going to kind of take you through that quick journey now of how you would set those up. So these are your dashboards. Module here is printed reports, forecasting, and just a little stat around forecasting. So 80% of our new sign-ups, our new kind of trialists, are SME business owners, and they come straight to us. The very first thing they do is go to the forecasting module. We obviously reach out to them and sort of find out why they came to us directly and maybe not their accountant or their bookkeeper. And first of all, they sort of say, well, we didn't necessarily realize that service could be provided. And secondly, if they did ask for a forecast, whether it's the bank has requested it or it's part of a business plan, the cost to provide that was sort of too high because of the time it maybe would cost to build that in Excel or another sort of more laborious process. Whereas if we could streamline it, we actually can scale the service really effectively. Business owners, they really want to know, they're not losing sleep about where they've been, they're losing sleep about where their business is heading. And we can help sort of make that a reality.
Nick, let me ask you a question about that.
Yeah.
And I realize this might be getting ahead, so if it is, just say so. But if I assume then that what I can get out of FUTRLI beyond what we're seeing here is like a 5-year pro forma, like I would need if I was presenting a pitch deck to a group of investors.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, really easily. Yeah. I'm going to build one for you, so I'll show you how to do it. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay.
So formulas as well is again a template library from us. So basically, it's all about, for us, it's all about automation. It's all about streamlining. It's all about efficiency of process, and therefore that's how you can keep the price manageable for your clients. So when Seth or Sarah, you were talking there about that sort of add-ons we can offer at a price point that works for the client and also leaves profit in it for you guys. Really, that's ultimately what we want to do, is we want to help you make more money. So that's something that we're definitely focused on, is that automation, that streamlining. Alerts was recently featured by QuickBooks and Xero in the UK as a really effective way to monitor the client base. So who's doing well, who's doing poorly, and maybe who's actually struggling to the point that maybe they need a little bit of a hand. We need to look at a forecast. Cash flow is poor, and how can we try and turn things around for them? Clients do well, their business does well, your business does well. So organizations and users. Organizations, obviously, where you add your clients. Users could be yourselves, could be your team that use the platform, but it's also on a permission basis. You can link your clients, so you can let them see their dashboards, their KPIs, their sort of key measurements that you want to share with them. Really, really easy. So as a quick journey, imagine that you come into FUTRLI to start with, and you want to either run off a report or a forecast for a key client, or actually you want to set up a few clients. What you would do is you'd come straight to organizations. You add an organization, and of course, as a preferred partner of both QuickBooks and Xero, that connection is really, really easy. All you've got to do is click connect to QuickBooks here, and then every 24 hours, the actual data for the client will come into FUTRLI. You don't have to fetch for up-to-date data. It comes in there automatically, so that any dashboards you create or reports, you know, when you run them off, they're going to be sort of
so Nick, two questions on that. Number one, I assume this is obvious, but just in case it's not, I assume I can, based on the currency is not just in British pounds, it can be in US dollars, or it'll be based on whatever my QuickBooks company is set up for, or wherever it's located. So FUTRLI can work anywhere, US, Canada, Europe.
Yeah, absolutely. It's global. We've got, we're in about 130 countries now of users using the platform. So yeah, totally, whatever currency they're operating their accounting platform in, you can use it in FUTRLI. It's no problem at all. Yeah.
And as far as the sync goes, I know you said it does it automatically every 24 hours, but what if I want to push it to get up to the moment data so I can send reports out? Can I do that?
Yeah, 100%. You can do a manual sync for any given client at any given time. So let's say, for example, you link a client at 10 o'clock on a Tuesday. That means 10 o'clock on a Wednesday, they're going to update. But if you manually, you might want to do a report at 11 o'clock in the morning, you can do a manual sync for that client. Yeah.
Great. Okay.
So the other thing, obviously, is we recognize that these systems are growing. We've got Sage 1 integration coming soon. We've got MyOb. But however, you know, there's lots of different accounting platforms. And our HQ is here in the UK, and we've got a whole team working purely on integrations to, again, automate and streamline that for you. Because QBO, it works perfectly. It's so easy to link a client, to build a forecast, and to go forward. But the other thing you can do is, as long as you can get a trial balance out of the accounting platform, you can manually upload that as a CSV file. Again, it is actually really, really easy. And then you've still got the full capabilities of running off a report for that client. The other thing you can do is consolidate as well. So you can report at an overall group level. So maybe the holding company, you can report for them, but actually you can then report at the individual, group other than that. So let's say, for example, you've got a group of 5 restaurants. You could report at each individual restaurant. You could forecast and budget for each individual one, and then you can do overarching reports and forecasts for everything. So you can compare site 1 against site 2 and sort of see where they're performing and where they're maybe not performing. Really, really easy within the platform. So yeah, as Seth said, what I've got here is I've got a case study client. So AB Venues. If I want to, I can go into here and obviously manage their chart of accounts. I can manage their account. And this is that point, Seth, where you mentioned if I want to sync it now, I can just click that and it'll run a manual sync for me to get the latest data. But when you plug in a client via QBO, for example, we automatically set up 5 alerts. And these alerts, again, it's a really good way of monitoring the client base. And this is where, you know, as practices grow, we definitely have found the feedback that, you know, a lot of the time they'll do the year-end accounts for their client, or maybe they're doing some quarterly reports. But actually, when you really say to someone, you know, who do you know of your client base that's performing well, or who do you know that's actually maybe struggling at this moment in time? And they don't really know until it's too late, until it comes to the end of the year. And actually, if we can proactively look after these clients and say, well, you know, we noticed that maybe there's some areas of concern, and we recommend maybe doing this, we could hopefully turn their financial year around. And how invaluable a service is that to your clients? They're never going to quibble over fees when you've managed to, you know, help turn the business around over the sort of following year. So again, by default, we're looking at high levels here: cost of sales, income. So actually, there can be positive reminders as well. We could set sales targets and say, well, you know, congratulations, we noticed you've just smashed your sales target for the month. That's awesome work. And how can we capitalize on that going forward? We can also look at debtor days, expenses, and bank accounts. The reason I picked these guys is we can see here that actually their cash flow is a bit poor. We can see the bank account level is low. And if something goes above or below a predetermined amount, you will be notified of that alert. So you can see here I've got 7 that need attention. I've got 1 here also that's within a threshold. So it might be that I've said if the figure falls to within 10% of this, please notify me. And that gives you that grace sort of room of, okay, I'm going to try and turn it around for the client. So bank account, cash flow, this is what we need to focus on for this client. So it kind of brings us neatly into the forecasting and the budgets. So what I've got here, I know I'm going quite quickly, guys. So if there's anything else, you know, you want me to sort of slow down, just let me know. But, you know, I'll carry on until I sort of hear otherwise, Seth. So what I've done is I've created a sort of 3 scenarios for this client. So I want to show them, might be come to the end of the financial year, and I might want to say, okay, well, that was great, but let's see what you could achieve next year. So I've run off a best case scenario. I've also run off a scenario that says, if nothing changes for your business, this is how the next 12 months look. based on last year. This is your P&L, this is your balance sheet, this is your cash flow for the next 12 months. And we've also got a worst case scenario. So maybe material costs are rising, they've fed back, they're worried about losing their biggest contracts or their key clients. How does that look for their cash flow? And is it really, is it really a concern that they are worried about? But all you got to do is click new, and then you're presented with 4 ways to build your budget or your scenario. So if it's for example, if it's a brand new business that's looking to secure funding, or their bank is asking for a forecast, you can build that from scratch within the platform really, really easily. And it's at a very granular level. So line by line, you can manage that. And then also, if you've got any existing budgets or forecasts, you can bring those into FUTRLI as well, and then build on them further, and then present them as part of a reporting pack. And if again, you've given that initial sort of, this is your last year, here's a base case scenario for you of the next 12 months, and then they give you some feedback, you can spin off a copy, and then you can make those alterations, and then you can present an alternative scenario. Again, it's all about automation. It's all about efficiency of process and sort of speeding that up from your perspective. Again, that's your time is money. So we need to make it, really, light on your feet in that respect. But where we start, where we definitely recommend, and the most accurate, is to build something based on last year's actuals. So if you've got, for example, their QBO account linked, the data is there. It's really sitting there within the business. So it's really within the platform. It's really quick for us to access that and build that. I'm just going to build a quick, quick forecast based on the last year's actuals, as I said. So let's call it the Nerd Enterprise Forecast.
I love that. Make sure I'm making at least $1 million net.
Yeah. And as you said, so it could be within FUTRLI, you can go from 1 year up until 10 years. So we want to look at maybe short term, how the cash flow is for the next 12 months, or actually it could be part of a 5-year business plan. Again, really, really easily. We're just going to go with 1 year quickly for this client. We're going to choose our starting date. So I'm actually going to come back to the beginning of the year, January. And then if I want to, this is where I said about scenarios, I can come in even at the beginning stages and I can apply some changes. So the client might be saying, okay, well, we've had a good year, but we see that the industry is actually trending up. And actually, we want to set a target of another, let's go with 15%. We want to see 15% growth on the next year. Show me how that looks for my P&L, my balance sheet, my cash flow. And cost of sales, actually, we've negotiated some better rates with our suppliers, and we're going to go for a 5% reduction. Expenses maybe are going to stay the same. So this is your quick assumptions, really, really quick. And it's going to now build that forecast for me for the client's business, showing the P&L at the bottom here, the balance sheet, and the cash flow. So by default, we're looking at the bank account. I started it in January. So the gray area here you can see is the actual data for the client. There's lots of platforms to be able to build a forecast, but actually, as the year rolls through, we need to put it in place so that, we've outlined this as a target, but actually we want to report against it regularly. And that's really where we can add some value for the client. And we can, of course, tailor it at any given moment for them as well. So, actually, they are cash flow poor maybe at the moment, but, the forecast line is showing us that the bank account should come up from there based on last year. So, then it gives you, April statistically seems to be a bad month for the business every single year. We can dig into that. Why is that? And maybe we can improve it for sort of years coming. Of course, you can bring in any line to that. And as we scroll down, you can see, of course, it might look a bit more kind of familiar now. We can see our P&L, our balance sheet. Of course, you can dig into any of this, our balance sheet, and then our cash flow. But importantly, you get a workings tab. So very much early on, we made those high level assumptions, 10% income growth, 5% reduction of cost of sales. But the client's now feeding back a bit more detail. They're saying, well, actually, we're thinking about taking on more staff, or we're buying more vehicles, or we're moving premises, or whatever. So we need to modify that forecast. Of course, from us, that needs to be streamlined. It needs to be quick, needs to be efficient. So I'm going to pick this line here. I'm going to edit this line. Of course, you can add new lines to it as well. But here I've got 5 options. I can add a single or repeating entry to the forecast. I can set the repetition pattern. I can set the payment profiles as well. I can add a monthly growth rate. So, so maybe this product line is going to go up 5%, 5%, 5% year on month on month. I can add on the fly. So again, if they're looking at a seasonal business, key contracts in certain months, or casual staff on key months, I can apply that to the forecast really quickly. We also work with formulas as well. So you can build your own custom formula. Again, within FUTRLI, this is all really user intuitive, and there's lots and lots of guides and help in terms of using the formulas. And the formulas can use financial data, but also non-financial data can be used within the platform as well. So that's something that we're one of the only platforms that give you the ability to use non-financial data as part of a formula for a forecast or for your report. And of course, just on a pure sort of basic level, you can put a manual journal entry into that forecast as well. So you can build that out really custom for the client. So Seth, how does that look so far? Have you got any questions?
No, it looks amazing. I mean, the question that's looming in my mind, I'm sort of holding out on because I think you might get to it anyway. So I'm just going to let you keep running with it because this looks awesome so far.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So let's say the client comes to us to say, you know, we've identified their cash flows are concerned. So we want to see how that plays out for the year based on last year. But that's really kind of the start because, you know, we don't want to just provide that service. It's great to provide one-off projects for your clients, but that relationship to tie them into your practice and to tie them into your services, we need to then put the procedures in place so that actually, you know, that extends month on month, quarter on quarter, or whatever frequency it is that works for them. So again, as I mentioned earlier, you can link these scenarios. If you need to, for any reason, you can bring it back into Excel, or you can view it daily, weekly, monthly, or quarterly. But now I'm going to kind of show you back to the dashboards how this plays a role in it. So again, to start with here, I had this business overview board for the client AB venues. If I come to them here, I've also got a profit and cash review for them. I've got an insights board, which shows me where they are standing today. And again, a cash sort of board. But I'm going to show you the profit and the cash review. So on the left-hand side here within this dashboard, I've got a text card. And this is, maybe I'm talking about the strategy, maybe I'm talking about the data, and I'm just sort of, you know, documenting what we're working on with this client. Again, you can add images, you can add video, full flexibility, really, really easy. This card here, for example, is a very quick snapshot looking at the monthly income versus the forecast. So they're 78% towards their target. They're 21.5% down on last year, but they're up on the last period. So, you know, just a really quick snapshot, year-on-year income comparison. I'm going to kind of scroll down. So here we've got an income trend. And again, if you're in meetings with the client, you can view this in a presentation mode and dig in a bit more detail as to what it is, you know, that's happening within the client's business. At the bottom here, there's a P&L, which says an error. And the reason is, I'm going to now bring it up and I'm going to flip it over and show you how key it is and how easy it is for our client. We want to look at the forecast and the actual. And now I need to select my scenario. So we created the Nerd Enterprise forecast in literally minutes as a very quick starting point. And all I've got to do now is apply that to any card, and I can present the client with that three-dimensional view of, here is your actual data, here is what where you've done historically, here is where you stand as of today, and then the forecast comes in. So you're kind of giving them a three-dimensional view of the business has done this until you are now. Here is where you stand as of today, and this is where you should be heading going forward. So it's that you know, as I said earlier, that three-dimensional view. And the other board I really want, sorry, yep.
Just to recap real quick, the reason for the error was because we had to go in and select a scenario. Yeah,
I left that there purposely just to show you how you manage these cards. So you just flip them over, and then you've got all sorts of, I left it blank with no scenario. So that was my kind of trick of just flipping it over to show you how we link it to different scenarios. So they might actually say, okay, we want to link it to our best case, our worst case, or the scenario that you've just kind of created. Yeah. And obviously how the data is viewed as well. So the other thing we've got with this client as well is we've got a business insights board. So this is kind of showing them, you know, again, it's a good way of us trying to put the strategies in place in terms of how to sell these services. You know, you can plug in a client, a QBO account, for example, and then you can run off insights, you know, and again, the data is there. It's just now us giving you the tools to access it. So on average, how many days is it taking you to get paid? And again, this comes into the card automatically. And then we help you with advice strategy cards. So FUTRLI cheat sheets in terms of what the type of advice that can be given and the upskilling that's required there. Is Nick, the covered revenue?
I'm sorry, I have another question just while I'm thinking of it and before I forget. I noticed that and we actually got a comment about this from one of our colleagues on Facebook when I had announced that we were going to be doing this. I noticed the charts, everything has this kind of pink color scheme. Is there a way to customize that? So let's say I wanted to brand it for my own company's colors, or let's say I work with a construction company where they're all guys wearing hard hats and they might even be put off by the color pink.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. You know what, Seth? You're totally on the money there. It's very much at the moment it looks as a FUTRLI product. However, everybody has the opportunity to white label it, so you can effectively remove us from the conversation, remove us from the equation, and all of a sudden it becomes your product. So you have a custom login screen. It's totally rebranded to fit your business. And essentially it's your service then, really. So again, that's a great way of increasing business through referrals, and also from velcroing that client to your business. You can totally rebrand.
Since we do have somebody who's a user and evidently doesn't know how to do it, can you show us where the setting is to like change the colors?
Well, the only question with that is that actually is a product that we provide. So rather than give people the ability to, obviously everybody has their own tastes, but it's quite a big process. So it actually is our marketing and our development team that do it. So they get in contact with the owner of the account. They obviously request, sort of branding.
Okay, so by request you can have it.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah. And then they'll remove our logos and put yours in, and sort of build a custom login screen for you. So there is a small upcharge on that as well, just to note, just so it's in there.
I figured as much. Okay. All right.
So again, that sort of example kind of report. But the next thing I wanted to show you was the printed reports. So obviously we built a forecast. We're now monitoring the client through alerts. We've got a dashboard there to show them their KPIs they can have access to. But actually we want to put in structure these, the reporting process, whether it's monthly or whether it's quarterly. And you can build templates that suit your clients for what it is they want to see. Really, really easy. And they'll be saved here for you for the clients. But all you've got to do is come to new report. You can build it out from blank, so page by page, chart by chart, content by content. And this is where the branding becomes really, really strong as well. So, these reports, all of a sudden, they really sing your product, your business. And again, you can bring a dashboard into a PDF really quickly. But as a partner, as opposed to a business owner, as a partner, we help you with templates. So again, it's all about streamline. It's all about efficiency. So, we've got annual health checks here that you can bring in. We've got reports relate to the balance sheet. Cash position. Sorry to be scrolling down quickly, but I'm going to try and find an example for you. We've got profit and loss reports, profitability. So let's say cash flow. Let's go with this one. So a financial summary report, fairly sort of generic, 6-page, a good quick overview of the business. Just connect your client, select the period ending. Of course, the data is coming into our system, every 24 hours for their business. Connect to the scenario. So of course we want to report the actual performance against the scenario, check that they're all on track. So the Nerd Enterprise forecast that we created in a couple of minutes earlier. And now it's going to build out that 6-page report for me for this client. And on the first couple of pages, if you want to, and this again is where, your logo would be here, your business, you could put in the client's logo, a little bit of nicety, a little bit of personalized text. Page 2, of course, highlights, observations, recommendations. And then as you come into the sort of meat of the report, it's very much a visual product that is intended to engage with the client in that way. Of course, this is a template to sort of provide what we feel maybe fits. However, it's fully customizable. So if something doesn't fit, you can just delete it. You can flip it around. You can change it. You can replace it with something else, totally rearrange the page. All you've got to do is edit that content, how the data is presented, the comparison options, so what scenarios you're focused on, and of course make annotations as well. So if there's something in particular you want to talk with the client about, you can just build that out within the report really, really easily. So in terms of where a lot of people are sitting at the moment, they're doing a lot of tireless kind of work in Excel, and then actually trying to put that as part of a reporting pack. It is hard to scale. It's hard to really roll that out amongst the client base. But if you can automate this, then it becomes a really valuable service, and that's where we've definitely seen the growth so far. So that template I created was just a starting point. You've also got a lot of pre-built pages relating to the balance sheet, relating to the P&L, and again, you can add that in there really, really quickly to FUTRLI. And once you've got it set out how you like, you just simply save it. And then when the client comes to the next sort of period, we're currently in February, we're going to roll that forward to March now, click confirm, and that is now building your report for the following period. So again, that scales very organically in terms of building it out. So yeah, very, very quick whirlwind tour there. And I have, as Seth mentioned, I've got a very quick example of how you maybe would white label FUTRLI to fit your business. So this is just an example of what somebody has done so far, and again it presents it in a very much a different color scheme and fitting to another sort of brand. And the other thing that FUTRLI does as well, which sets us aside, is we have a kind of CPD in the UK. I think it's might be called something different in the US, but it's a career progression sort of certification program. So you become a certified advisor, a certified business advisor, and we take you through an online education course as part of becoming a FUTRLI partner. And they're broken down into sort of 4 key modules. So we've got foundations of FUTRLI, the basics, 5 steps to getting started. We recognize that, the application is actually quite easy to use, but a lot of the time for people, it's going into a new market, a new service. So that's where we sort of help, with how to price advisory services here, how to roll them out, how to scale, how to sell advisory services. And then the last 2 key modules are based around reporting, the types of dashboards, the types of reports you can create. And as we scroll down, it's forecasting. Which forecasting is a lot of the time, that's where the opportunity is, because the businesses, they don't have the ability themselves to actually look forward for the business. And they spent so much time running their business that, dealing with things that they don't have that ability to kind of look forward. So yeah, I mean, that's a very, very quick, sort of insight there to the platform. And yeah, any questions so far?
So yeah, here's the question I want to ask earlier. I mean, it looks like I can probably do it. It's just, anyway, here's my question. Up until now, I've done a lot of my own forecasting, all of it actually, in spreadsheets, partly because I'm pretty handy with a spreadsheet. So it doesn't take me very long to update these things. Once I build my template, I can drop actuals in, but still it's laborious. Obviously, this would save me a lot of time. What I'm wondering though is, one of the first things I end up getting asked to build out for clients when I'm creating one of these is a payroll schedule, so that I can lay out the existing employees and what they're being paid, of course, pick up the applicable taxes and insurance and things. But then we want a space in there where the client can say to me, hey, I'm thinking of hiring somebody and paying them $90,000 a year. Can we drop that in, see how the taxes calculate, and see the impact on cash flow out, a year from now? I noticed you had a formulas area. So do you have the ability for me to build out like a whole schedule and flow it back to the P&L, or do like debt service schedules to flow the principal back to the balance sheet and the interest back to the P&L? Does it get that deep?
Yeah. So you can definitely forecast for that. At the moment, we have we're working on what we're going to call wizards. So we've got a loan wizard where you can essentially, if the business takes out a loan for something, you can easily automate the process of bringing that into a forecast. And we're working on a payroll wizard as well. So essentially you'll put in Joe Bloggs is joining the company on this date and his salary is X, and then I'll reflect that on my my 3-way forecast going forward. At the moment, you can do it using the formulas. It's actually not too bad a process. And interestingly, as I'm on the sort of advisory certification slide, it's quite good because that is part of the certification in terms of the education of how to do these things within the platform. But we're definitely looking to build we're building a payroll wizard to help speed that process up. Yeah. Okay.
And the reporting periods, is that customizable? Can I look at weekly versus monthly versus quarterly versus annually?
Yeah. So when you're in the report and you want to, So when you're in the report and you want to actually edit the content, you flip it over, and then that's where you can choose the periods, you can choose the data, full flexibility there, really. You can build the report out from scratch with anything you want, really.
And what kind of training do you guys offer? It looks like I think that there's some training maybe included, or training I can get, to get versed in how FUTRLI works. And because you already mentioned there's like a certification, which is what we're looking at here.
Yeah.
Is that an extra cost, or if I sign up, does it just kind of come with the product, or?
So it depends. I mean, it depends on the package that is chosen. but we are very much keen to get people through this certification. And it is kind of training. However, it's training in terms of advisory services as well as the product, because it's quite interactive. It'll get you doing a few tasks within the platform. But actually within the application, there's 24/7 support, and there's lots of how-to guides. There's a big help section, and there's also a big KPI library. So you say, okay, I want to build a report for this. You can search for it within the KPI library, and it'll give you directions for how to do it. And the other thing as well is there's dedicated account managers to every partner package. So you've got somebody that you can actually call up and say, look, I'm trying to build this. How do I do it? Can you show me? And then obviously you get the skills going forward from there. But the certification is I suppose your onboarding and your training really as a starting.
Right.
There's lots of different formats of it. Yeah.
And then what about, what was I going to say? I had a really good question and now it escapes me. All right, I'll think of it.
Okay. Let me see.
Wow. Okay. I totally lost my train of thought. It was right there. I forgot what the question was. Does anybody else have any questions? It's been real quiet on the Facebook feed. I've been looking. We've got a bunch of people join live on Facebook. Hi, Larry, Carmen, Mike, Alexa, Munib, Dennis is here and there. Desiree. Sarah. Dennis is watching twice. It's so good. He wants to see it in two places. No, I mean, this is great stuff. I love what I see. It had to do with, is there a sandbox so that I can play with it and learn on it without messing with clients' live data? That was my question.
Well, actually, because the client's data sits within their accounting platform, so essentially you can do anything within FUTRLI, and if you make a mistake, it doesn't matter at all. You're not going to mess their live data up. So the connection is because we pull their journal activity, say for example, from the accounts platform. So whatever happens in FUTRLI, if you make a mistake, you can correct it, or you can just delete it and start again. You're not going to mess up their live data at all.
So what happens in FUTRLI stays in FUTRLI.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Perfect. All right. I saw a quick screen flash up on pricing. Let's talk about pricing. What's it going to cost me?
Yeah. So essentially, we've got a variety of sort of partner plans, really. So let's say, for example, I suppose they range from using FUTRLI for 20 clients. So when you link 20 clients, the one thing as well with FUTRLI to note is there's no limit to number of users. So
are those monthly or annual fees?
Monthly fees. Yeah.
Okay.
So monthly fees. Yeah. Yeah. So, obviously, as we're I suppose a standard kind of SaaS product fitting in line with obviously Xero, and we're within the Xero and the QuickBooks marketplace. But yeah, it's $299 for 20 organizations. So and then it scales up from there. So obviously it fits how many organizations it is you want to kind of use. So
the minimum I have to pay for is 20 companies. There's no way to say, hey, I just have like 2 companies I want to use this for and get a lower price.
What we do is if anybody's interested, we'll look at each case kind of uniquely. We're very much keen to spread our net and to build our partner network. So if you for example, if you're a practice where actually you've just got maybe 2 or 3 or 5 key clients, then of course we can.
Well, I'm just thinking somebody might want to start out with just 1 or 2 or 3, kind of get good with the product and then start adding. I know that's how I like to do things. Usually I'll test it out on myself first. And then once I'm comfortable with using it for myself, I'll add the first client, and then often I'll add the second and then third. And usually by the time I've gotten through 3 clients and they're madly in love with it, then I'll start dumping it on everybody,
Yeah. No, I mean, this is where we stand today with the pricing, but I know that, we're definitely looking in terms of within the US and obviously within the UK of potentially ways for us to work like that with regards to price. So that actually you can start with just a couple of clients, and then obviously as you integrate with more clients, the cost per client reduces as well. Right. Okay. That makes sense. Yeah. But no, I mean, from our perspective, the pricing obviously is there, and we are quite quickly growing the net within obviously within the US, and that's sort of our currently where we're looking in terms of 20 organizations, because the cost, obviously the cost per client if we can get you in. And this is where the certification talks about the opportunities in terms of strategies for selling it, how to scale, and the account manager as well has regular sort of meetings with you to make sure that we're scaling the service and actually the practice is seeing the revenue there as well.
Right, because broken down, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, we're talking $15 per month per client, but I got to have 20 clients who are maybe subsidizing that cost in order to justify it. If I only have 3 and I'm paying for the other 17 and not getting sort of reimbursed, then I can see where some, especially beginning accountants and bookkeepers, may end up struggling with that.
No, I totally get that. That's where, again, if it's again another business that's looking at just a few clients. Again, we're happy to have the conversations in terms of best options going forward. Definitely. Okay,
and then you mentioned there's like a partner program. So with that partner program, how does that work? I mean, I sign up and I'm an accountant. I sign up. I say I want to be a partner, and so I guess I'd go on the bronze plan to start with until I've got 20 clients, and then I kind of move up from there as I acquire more clients. And then, so is this pricing for partners specifically, or is this sort of retail?
So this is the partner pricing. So the actual sort of pricing from there. Essentially this is the partner pricing, and then as we evolve, obviously there is a partner network as well, so that when businesses come to us, we're of course looking out to partners in terms of where we can try and refer them on, much like the Xero partner network, or much the same for QuickBooks. So yeah. Gotcha.
All right. Again, does anybody else have any questions? Because it's just, I'm sure you're tired of hearing my voice. Not Nick's.
Yeah.
Nick is pleasant.
So the other thing is obviously for anyone that does have any other maybe questions, or they want to see like a personal sort of demonstration specific to something they might want to solve for their clients, whether it's key client or group of clients, drop me a line, nick@futrli.com, or obviously Seth, and he can put people in touch with me, and we'll be happy to sort of look specifically at your clients as well.
Yep, and of course, we always put these up on the web, and I'll put the notes up, and Nick, I'll, if you don't mind, I'll put your email up, on the web with comments, and this way people will know exactly how to get right in touch with you. What else? Nobody else has questions?
Let me come back.
Speak now or forever hold your peace. So no, and truthfully, as you kind of alluded to, Nick, it's a lot to take in. It looks like a really powerful, really robust product, which is awesome. I want to say this because I think it's important, even though I keep saying it. In our industry, we're constantly being told these days how important it is to become the strategic advisor, to be more advisory based and less transactional based, because the transactional side of our business is going away. It is getting automated. I put a video up not long ago on, if you go to accountingbusinessacademy.com, you'll see it. It's the first video on the page where I talk about AI and how a lot of people say it's scary, it's taking jobs away. And I look at it differently and I say, no, embrace it, because it's actually providing us with opportunities. And this is an example of one of those opportunities. I mean, I don't know that this is AI per se, but it's an example of automating things and taking some of the grunt work out of the picture, like Nick mentioned, so I don't have to sit there writing formulas, or for that matter, I don't have to know how to sit there writing formulas. It can do all the heavy lifting for me, so that really what I want to do at the end of the day for my clients is run those reports, analyze them, understand them intimately, so that I can present them to my clients. Because my clients aren't going to understand a lot of what they see there initially. They're going to rely on me to explain it to them. I think one of the biggest flaws that I see in how many of us provide our services to our clients in the accounting world is based on the fact that we want to throw reports at them, and then it's like we run, right? Here's some reports. I did my job. Now I got to go, right? And I see a lot of that, or versions of it. And I think that's the biggest mistake. Nick, you had mentioned earlier about how when you ask the clients why they didn't go to their accountant, for this service, they didn't know it could be provided because their accountants aren't telling them, hey, you know what, I can do this for you. And I don't know, I guess if I were a CPA who does taxes for clients and just came out of tax season a month ago in the US, less than that in Canada, and I don't know, what is tax season in the UK? When does tax season run there?
Oh, sorry, in the UK, we don't necessarily have a tax season. Well, traditionally it's kind of, sorry, I was just replying to a question.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of around April time for us, similar,
Okay.
but everybody's financial year is different in the UK. So it's
Right.
sort of really staggered out through the year. But definitely what you said there, I think this should be seen as a product that's not trying to do anybody at all out of jobs or out of roles. It's actually far the opposite. We've just had one of our biggest shows over the last 2 days in London, and it's called Accountex, and essentially we had so many people on the stand over the couple of days, and we ran a theatre as well that talked about advisory, lots and lots of showings throughout the day. And it was really about how, this is just purely giving you guys the tools to become, to add this string to your bow in terms of advisory services. It's not going to provide the advice by itself. It needs the professional experience of individuals such as you guys.
Right. And what I wanted to say is, just coming out of tax season and doing all these tax returns, you've just had to look under the hood at all of these clients' financials. You had to in order to put their tax return together. There couldn't be a more perfect time and opportunity for you to reach out to your clients and kick up your revenues by saying, hey, now that we've had a look, there's a lot more we can do for you. I'd love to take a deeper look with you at what's going on with your company financially. They're not only going to respect that, they're going to appreciate it. And I think you're going to find it's what they've been dying for, but they were maybe afraid to ask you for it because they're afraid to bother you because they think you're too busy. And I think that's a major problem actually in our industry that needs to be corrected, especially going forward. As we're hearing more and more, and unfortunately, a lot of what we're hearing from the so-called thought leaders is the what. Right? We're hearing the what, but not the how, right? And the what is, you need to be more advisory. You need to do more consulting. And so we're being told what to do, but we're not being told how to do it. And from what I've just seen, and I have not seen FUTRLI before today, but from what I've seen here this morning, this is a perfect way to start evolving into that role, right? And to start to take on a tool like this, learn how to use it. I think it's important not just to get into it and connect it to QuickBooks and say, oh, look at these beautiful reports. My suggestion is take the time, and I plan to do this myself, take the time to dig into each of those areas. There was a lot, obviously we could never have gone through it all today, but I noticed an area of performance analysis. That actually was the one that grabbed my attention the most. Financial reports are boring. I want to look at performance. I want to look at where are we being efficient, where are we being inefficient, because those are the areas of opportunity. I want to identify where we're being inefficient so I can improve efficiency so we can get our clients to bring their products or services to market faster and I don't like to use the word cheaper, but more efficiently so that we can increase profitability while delivering the same or better value. That's the name of the game to me.
You're absolutely on the money there as well, Seth, in terms of, if when you come out of tax season, that's, you've got the end of the financial year is done. So let's offer that insight. How did we perform last year? And now let's look at the year ahead and what can we do? So it's the perfect time to kind of introduce these services, really. Yeah.
Yeah,
Nick,
it really is. I
like,
think that's go ahead, Sarah.
I was going to say, it sounds like you offer support for those of us that maybe are trying to figure it out or not sure how to put the stuff together. It sounds like you guys actually add a little bit more than just, here's the product.
Yeah, 100%. It's definitely not just, our product would fall down if we just said, okay, here's a great piece of technology, go off and run with it. For us, it's about a partnership. It's about this certified advisor. So we want to take you guys on a bit of an educational journey as well, so that, it's using the platform, but it's the services. And it's what we've seen from partners that have managed to grow or that have been successfully growing their business with our product. And these are the experiences we've got. These are the strategies that they've put in place. And actually, this is what we recommend based on your business, based on your clients. So we would say, okay, from CPD, from the certification, for example, we would say, okay, go straight to this module, this module, this module. It's going to have the quickest effect on your business and your clients. So, it's all about, from us, it's all about partnership.
A real partnership. Yeah. Like sometimes I feel like you pick up these apps or these tools and then you're kind of like, wait, how does it work inside your program? And you have to dig way too deep that you don't have time for.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, from what I've seen this morning, my feeling is, and I'm really speaking for myself here, if I'm going to dive into FUTRLI, I'm going to dive into that partner program and really take advantage of the resources, because as smart as I may be when it comes to this stuff, first of all, I don't want to waste time figuring it out when there's somebody right there available to show it to me, right? And a lot of the problems that I see, and this is speaking from the perspective of someone who sees a lot of comments in our Facebook group from a lot of people talking about a lot of different applications. And I'm going to go out there on a limb, and somebody's going to email me later today and chop my head off for saying this, but I really believe it's the truth, is that a lot of the complaints that people have about the products that are out here are ultimately, I find out when I dig in a little bit, based on lack of user experience and research, right? They just don't take the time to really learn how to use the product properly, and then they throw their hands up in the air and say, it doesn't work. And no, it does work. It's just a question of learning how to use the tool. It's like picking up something out of a toolbox that's a little more complicated than a typical hammer or screwdriver, and then complaining that it doesn't work because I didn't take the time to learn how to use the tool properly. Which goes to another comment I hear a lot of, that I don't want to use another app. I have too many apps. And I liken it to, the analogy of, imagine I hired a handyman to come in my house and fix up some things around my house. And the handyman comes in and I show him what I need done. And he says, you know what, I'm sorry, I can't do that, because in order to do that, I would need to put another tool in my toolbox, and I just can't handle another tool in my toolbox, right? That's, to me, that's the analogy. And it's like, no, we need to learn how to take on, embrace, and learn everything these tools can do. Yeah, be selective about the tools. But when you've chosen to use one or even try one, dig in deep with it and learn everything it can possibly do, especially before you throw your arms up and say it doesn't work, right? Because I could see this being an incredibly powerful advisory tool that would serve as a breath of fresh air to our clients when we can show them these nice detailed reports that are more visual, instead of just throwing a wall of numbers at them and saying, here, go look. And I've talked to providers, again, some of these so-called thought leaders who I've had conversations with, and they've told me in so many words, I don't want to have a call with the client. I send them their reports. It's up to them to figure it out. And I'm like, wow, that is a terrible way to provide a service to a client. I mean, just god awful. I'm sorry. So, again, I encourage everyone. I'm going to do it myself. I'm going to dig in, and I encourage everyone else to. But if you dig in, set aside the time, book the time on your schedule, take advantage of the resources, learn how to use the product inside and out. I swear to God, Nick hasn't paid me to say any of this.
No.
So this is just my honest opinion and approach after seeing what we've seen this morning. It's exactly what everybody is begging for. It's exactly what our clients are complaining they're not getting from us, or not getting enough of it. So anyway, I hope you'll all dig in. Nick, thank you so much for coming out and being here with us today. It's evening for you. It's early morning for us here on the West Coast, and somewhere in between for those of us who are on the East Coast of the U.S. and Canada, wherever you are. So enjoy the rest of your evening, enjoy the rest of your morning, your day. Have an amazing Memorial Day weekend. Nick, I'll be in touch. I'll let you know when the official video recording of this is up on my site, but the Facebook feed is going to be up and live and available, of course, within minutes of when I end the broadcast.
Perfect. Great. Seth, it's been a pleasure. Thanks very much, guys. Really great to obviously to kind of meet a few of you and obviously show you FUTRLI. So yeah, have a great weekend.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, and the live broadcast